You live up in the Northeast, don't you?
Oh my God, yeah. Weather's been impeccable.
Do you by chance know of anyone who has brought or brings the boom?
Is this a trick question about the New York Yankees or something? You setting me up for anything?
You don't know the bring the boom thing, Big Justice? The Rizzler?
No,
Oh my God, really? You must be the only person.
the song, I don't know.
There's a song. There's a song.
Okay.
You bring the boom.
And oh, is that the thing that everyone keeps doing where they like go like
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
And
yeah.
they're up in your neck of the woods. And
Oh, they are. Well, that makes sense. I mean, a lot of that stuff comes from the city,
God,
so
that would have been a killer joke. That's all right. We'll workshop it for next week.
add it into the snake draft.
I was so swamped this morning, and then I realized, well, Big T realized, he told me, he's like, listen, if you can't do any of the content work on golf this week, don't worry about it because I know you're busy. And I'm like, what are you talking about? We got a day. I'm like, no, we don't. It's 7:00.
Yeah, tonight, which is interesting because I obviously follow the ladies, and we've been Shanghai, Seoul, and now we're in Malaysia this week, and they usually they don't lock out until 10 p.m. And DraftKings is locking at like 7 tonight.
7.
Yeah.
Well, it's a 12-hour difference?
Yeah, no, I get it. It's just
First
amazing.
tee's at 7:30 their time.
Yeah, it's just I guess the ladies are choosing to start later.
Do they have a smaller field?
They do. Yeah, they do the same thing that the Zozo does. When they travel over there, they do like 78 players, and about 15 are from the local tour, and then the other ones are, from their money list and the world, the Rolex World Rankings. So,
what's your sense on this TGL thing before we get into Zozo?
I'm excited for it because
I know you are.
It's something different, though. Like I've been asked this question a lot this week, and I've been doing some fun content. I got something's coming out tomorrow. It's going to be really, really kind of fun. And we talked a little bit about this stuff, more about golf betting and everything. But and it's assumed that I'm into this TGL thing because I know they're going to lean into betting. Now, whether or not they do it correctly will remain to be seen. But they have intentions to lean into it. But it's actually different. And we benefit as a sport or an industry when we have people come from outside our ecosystem in. And right now, it's just the same people talking about the same stuff all the time, and the fight would live and all that, and it's gotten so old. I think that, the same old idiots, that really think highly of themselves are going to be like, oh, they're hitting into a screen and blah, blah, blah. And, they are the usual.
Are you saying there's golf purists out there who might be annoying?
Well, I mean, I'm not even talking about like the architecture fanatics or anything like that. We'll just let them make fun of the simulator screen, and its 2D nature or whatever it may be. But it's more along the lines of like, oh, this isn't golf and blah, blah, blah. And I don't think in any way TGL saying this is golf, right? This is putting superstars up on a stage and entertaining people. And when the schedule came out, I was a little curious about no Tiger till week 2 and no Rory. And Rory and Tiger play the Monday after Championship Sunday, which I think is interesting. So it seems like they're almost kind of like delaying the start in their own way till after football, kind of like.
They need the most juice they can get.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And they're going to have juice in March by then, But overall, I'm excited about the different things that they've said that they're going to do. I think overall it's going to be a lot different than golf, like normal golf coverage. I think you're going to see a lot more shots, and I think all of that's a good thing. So
you are a true lover of the game of golf. You are.
God.
You support it. That's why people like you in this industry. That's why you have the credentialing you do in this industry. That's why you have the support you do in this industry, and that's why you work with us in this industry.
Makes sense.
And I was actually fluffing you up to a company the other day, and I said, Keith Stewart? They said, of course. I said, well, I can't stand him. There, we got a joke. Okay, yeah. No,
of course they did.
But my criticism, if I'm ever on Twitter, it's it's just not skeptical. I'm not skeptical. I'm cynical about business side of things, right? Because execution irritates me in terms of not listening to your core constituent or customer.
Yeah.
It's an epidemic in golf, in professional golf.
Oh,
It's been an irritant to me for 7 years. And I think I attach myself to any new project like, okay, here we go again. Do I want it to succeed? Yes. Do you believe in it? Yes. Do I want to see you succeed? Yes. So therefore, I'm going to give it a shot.
yeah. I mean, I think we all have to be cautiously optimistic, right? There's definitely some people. I mean, I've met all the parties involved on the inside, and there's definitely some people involved that are not like staunch golf PGA Tour type people, right? And
Clearly, I could tell, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a good
and there's some
thing.
big money in it.
Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah. There's some people really betting heavily on this. In a figurative, in a literal sense. Not in a figurative sense, in a literal sense. Yeah. That they've raised a ton of capital, and a lot of that surrounds Tiger Woods and everything, but a lot of that surrounds the popularity of the game. People at golf will complain about everything, and then they expect to get paid for their complaints. So figure that one out.
I don't know of any sport that has more complaining than golf.
Oh my God. I mean, here's a perfect analogy, right? The prices come out for the World Series tickets between the Dodgers and the New York Yankees. Of course, two huge markets. And it's almost like they're bragging. They're like, seats are $2,000, right? And everyone's like, oh my God, this is the greatest World Series ever. Tickets for the Ryder Cup are $750. Burn the whole thing down. Like, why? Like that epitomizes. That's a microcosm for golf.
Right. Now, if they were $7.50, it'd be like, burn the whole thing down. It's too cheap. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I mean, inflation and the world we live in is staring you right in the face. And you don't think that Ryder Cup tickets are going to go up, especially in a New York market when the PGA of America has once every 4 years to sell tickets for this event? Come on. Wake up. Grow up.
Wake up, grow up, drink up. Right there. There it is, Antonio.
What do you got? What's Antonio got? Oh, what's up, guys? Yeah.
No, what are you drinking? Red wine or Diet
Coke?
Oh,
no. Diet Coke.
All right, Zozo.
Diet Coke.
Tees off at 7:30 our time. Decent field up top. Decently priced. Pretty soft pricing for Xander Schauffele.
Interesting. Yeah. I loved your comment on that. I sometimes I don't spend as much time thinking about the pricing other than the mismatches between the odds, which you find much further down the board. But the fact that Scotty was coming out in all these events this year with 70 something players at like 3-1, and then, it was 13,000, and now Xander in a similar type of event with a similar type of advantage was way less. I thought that was a very astute comment on your part the other day in the Discord.
Yeah, because you have clearly the 1A golfer in the world.
Oh yeah,
in a smaller field, with the disparity in the field from world super class talent, and then golfers you've never heard of. I'm like, you might as well put Xander at 20K because he is going to dog walk this field.
Yeah.
That's where I am with Hideki because it's the home event narrative.
Yep.
And then the course structure. Talk about the course because last year, let's take away Colin Morikawa's -14 negative. -4. That was very Canadian of me. -14 -14 win.
6-shot win, right?
Huh?
His 6-shot win.
Right? 6-shot win, and everyone else is single digits. Single digits on an American golf course, tree-lined parklands, is a very difficult golf course for these guys, right?
Mm-hmm. So, especially when you start to think about, right, the idea that it's par 70 and it's only 7,000 yards,
right?
And one of the reasons it's short is because it has 5 par 3s. Well, those guys love not everyone loves par 3s, but those guys love par 3s, and why? Because they know they have 5 approaches from a perfect lie, and they already know what the yardage is, so they can practice it. Yeah. Right? That's what, 20 over the course of 4 days, and there's no cut. So that's 20 of 72 holes. They're guaranteed to know exactly what the approach is, and they can practice it, and they can get good at it, and we can rate them accordingly, right? So, you would think they would be better. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that this golf course plays like a Valspar. It's not so much like Pebble where it handicaps you off the tee. It's more like Valspar where it's like you have to go for these certain areas of these dog legs. I mean, like every hole at least bends somewhat off the tee of the 13, right? And some of them are sharp dog legs meant to mitigate distance. It's super.
And I consider Valspar one of the toughest tournaments on tour.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Especially when it's windy and especially when it's firm fast.
Yeah, and we're not going to get firm fast here. They're expecting some wet weather. It's been cool. It's been damp. They also have the dual green thing. So this week they're using 17 bent grass greens, and number 4 they're going to use the Bermuda grass green. So I assume there's something wrong maintenance-wise with the bent on number 4. But they're using the bent grass greens because of the time of year it is and everything. So I think that they will be receptive. I think that they will be medium speed. I don't think they'll. I think a lot of those little details is what curbs scoring just a little bit. And I think, quite honestly, it's a ball striker's paradise. Look who has won. Look who has won here, right? Goat aside, right? Hideki, impeccable ball striker. Captain Keegan, impeccable ball striker. Colin, top 5 iron player in the world for like a 2.5, 3 year stretch, right?
Yep.
I think we have to dig a little deeper to kind of figure out where we want to press, pull the levers on the model in order to come up with the best core possible. But I think from what we've seen there, the golf course is just, it's a really healthy balance of bogey avoidance and birdie or better, and keep in mind, only 64 guys are from the PGA Tour. You've got 14 from the Japanese Golf Tour, and 48 of those guys of the 64 just came from the Shriners. Mm-hmm. So that means what? The other 16 PGA Tour guys are kind of just hanging out and then going to Japan to get free FedEx Cup points or money or whatever. So it's an odd field.
So was Shriners last week?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. JT. Good call. Great call.
Was he in my snake draft?
He was a topic of conversation that we went on at length about, where you and I went back and forth about how we can measure time off. And we had this discussion about, what guys do. I mentioned the last 2 times I saw him was FedEx and BMW, and JT was admitting that he stunk. And then, what would happen coming out of that? You were very high on him because of his course history. And I said, well, that's the only thing you can bank on is course history. I said, I can't go down the JT road because the last time I saw him, he looked flawed and I didn't know what was going to get fixed in 2 months. But man, if you banked on course history there and that JT Poston is a top 50 FedEx Cup golfer, well, he just walked right in and he didn't steamroll the field, but he asserted the fact that he's better than 2/3 of that field.
That's better than most as a PGA professional, but
yeah.
To me, there's always been the 2 sides of the argument, course history and no course history. And I'm always majorly pro course history. I just feel like if you said, okay, fine, Keith, I have to beat you or within 10 shots or to save my life, what course am I going to pick? I'm going to pick the course I know the best, right?
Yeah, of course.
Or the course that you don't. I just feel like some courses give JT a look or golfers a look that sort of maybe re-engages them a little bit. Plus, him in a birdie fest is just, the guy could score better than most on tour.
Great wedge player, great putter. And if he's got the driver going, then those other things get to take over. And, that was a wedge fest. And they, the tour very carefully manipulated the field and the tee times.
For the wind? What do you think about that?
It's total bullshit. What bullshit?
Why did they do it?
Well, they're prima donnas. I mean, nobody wants to say it out loud, but none of those guys want to get embarrassed out there. That's why they don't like the match play. They don't like very difficult course conditions. When they go to new quirky places, they don't like it, right? Because
do they think it's also not fair because half the field is not going to face it?
Well, a big part of it is that, that just falls under the litany of things, right? That makes them, life's not fair. You play a sport that's outside. Go play LeBron James and his son and his grandkids or whatever in 20 years. The fact of the matter is it's not a controlled environment. So the luck of the draw is the luck of the draw. But it was interesting how they kind of manipulated that whole thing. Now, granted, it never really changed the wave advantage. It was still like 3 strokes, but overall, I mean, it barbecued guys like Bo Hostler and a few others that we were very high on, because they were in the off wave, and they still had to play on Friday throughout a lot of wind, just not really, really tough wind. So,
if Bronny James did have a kid right now, there is a chance that LeBron could be dunking at age 58. Seriously.
Yeah, I mean,
so your comment's not too far off.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
So top of the board. I mean, Hideki, Colin, Schauffele, clearly a cut above the rest.
Yeah,
and then you've got this sort of where's their game mid tier. JT, Minwoo, even Thagala for a bit. He regressed, and he sort of had a better stretch here over the last couple of rounds, I believe. But
yeah, he was very good at BMW and Tour Champ, especially Tour Champ. I think he was 3rd.
And then M, which someone very close to M told me never play M in the wind. Ever.
Yeah. All right, so let's start with the top 3. All 3 have played in all 5 Zozos, so they believe in this event. Hideki for obvious reasons, but Colin and Xander for, I think, for family tree ties, right? Like, so those guys believe in this event. Colin was definitely a surprise to me last year. Not as big a surprise that Xander's never been better than top 9 here, and he's done it 5 times. I think it's Hideki's Super Bowl. I think a lot of people point towards the last 2 years Hideki wasn't very good. I would point towards the last 2 years that Hideki had back and neck issues. And he obviously seemed healthy this year because Hideki was impressive pretty much the whole year, right? I also think, and this is a theory that I'm working on, but this is a big week for Japan. All right, in a lot of ways. They have their Masters hero playing at home in the one PGA Tour event that they get all year. On top of that, they have their baseball hero playing in the World Series, and it's extremely popular over there. I think the games come on something like 8 or 9 in the morning, and they are like, the ratings that they're getting over there are like 100x over live numbers. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. So I think, Hideki was the big man on campus for a long time there with that Masters green jacket. Now you've got Shohei there. I think Hideki will be extremely motivated this week. And of the 3 at the top, he's the one I'm most worried about because I'm not going to bet somebody at single-digit odds. And I think Hideki, this is really his Super Bowl. He's at home. The crowd will be behind him. I think for all those factors listed above, he'd be the one at the top that I'm personally leaning towards, and we'll see what happens.
He was my number 1 for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. 16th of the Tour Championship. The question is, M is getting a lot of steam in this sort of second tier. JT, you just don't know where he is at anymore in his game.
Mm-hmm.
Tagala going to be in a smaller field, and they're still, more talented than 60-70% of the field, but they're going to be very low owned.
Yeah.
The guy I like a lot that's not getting a lot of attention, and you have made me like him more because of what you see on the ground from his driver, is Siwoo Kim.
Oh yeah,
on some of the tightest fairways on tour.
Yeah, his history there is average, but he's played there a bunch and he knows the golf course, and I think he has a lot of confidence coming out of the President's Cup. Siwoo was very close to my outright card. He didn't make the cut, but he is definitely somebody that I think is very capable of this week, because there's 2 things about the golf course, if we want to get into the details for a second, that I'm using to separate people when I get down to the nitty gritty. Number 1 is scrambling. I think that this is a scrambler's paradise. You have this bipolar set of par 4s. You have 5 of them. There's 10 total. And, you have 5 that are over 480 and you have 5 that are under 425. Well, there's 4 of them under 400 yards and you got 3 par 5s that all of those you need to hit pitch shots into. Now look at the past winners here. Captain Keegan and Hideki Matsuyama are 2 of the best pitchers of the golf ball, hands down, on the PGA Tour. Flat out, great, crisp, tight lie pitchers of the golf ball. And when you start to think about what you need to do on this golf course to separate, I think that is a very, very edge building skill. And the second one is I'm not really focused on putting here because for the same reasons, Hideki, Keegan, and Colin are not the world's, highest ranked putters. So I think you can get away with some really, really strong ball strikers in your core, and you can do a little bit of, hope and prayer on the putter. If guys have seen a little bit of, a semblance of skill lately, and I think you can get away with it. But I'm really big on approach and scrambling this week to try to separate guys, and certainly par 4 scoring because the duality of those two types of holes they have.
Siwoo Kim used to be, historically, is a really good putter.
He's a hot putter. Yeah. He's a hot putter. He was very hot at the President's Cup. He can also break putters mid-round. So that's one of those things. Like we all have a domestic bias, right, towards Americans, and the stoic nature of the South Koreans or some of the other Japanese, Asian players or whatever. You never think of them as being like hotheads, right? But Siwoo is a super hothead, and getting to know him out on tour has been a lot of fun because he'll let it fly, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good stuff.
That's what Kevin Kisner said. He's like he likes playing with Siwoo Kim the most.
Oh yeah, he's very passionate.
He's he's leading the tournament by 8, and then goes driver off the deck for no reason and snaps his club.
Yeah.
he's like he gets bored. He just
he's that type of ball striker, and I think in that range, I have the guys that I don't have questions about how Sung Jae is going to do. I think he will do well. I don't have questions about Kurt Kitayama. In fact, I'm very high on Kurt Kitayama. Kurt Kitayama is going to strike the ball very, very well. I think it's a good fit golf course for Justin Thomas. I think that there's a good ease in there. There's no cut. He can work his way into the tournament. He is a great wedge player, great scrambler, doesn't need to putt well, and he's a very, very fine iron player. And on positional golf courses, he tends to do okay, a la like the Players, because he doesn't have to hit driver long all the time. That's where he really gets himself in trouble. I didn't like what I saw out of Thigala up in Montreal, so I'm not going there. But the guy down in that range, Minwoo Lee is an atrocious approach player. So if approach matters at all with 5 par 3s and all of these long irons and everything, I can't. I mean, it's atrocious.
He's extremely long, but he's also kind of accurate off the tee too.
It's kind of like the thing with Scotty. Like, how could you be so good on approach and so bad at putting? These skills. But man, I mean, Minwoo Lee is a top 5 driver in the world. He's like Rory good. He is really, really good. It's another level. And he fats irons. It's unbelievable. But the guy here that I really wanted to talk to you about, probably the guy I wanted to talk to you about the most on this whole kind of upper half of the board is Zalatoris.
Yeah.
Right now, because you and I always have this discussion about history. We can't let go of our heroes. Well, Zalatoris is a ball striking hero. Thin fairways, a lot of approach, long irons, all that kind of stuff. That was his, when he was healthy before the back surgery, that was his superpower, right? He was really good in the playoffs. He was kind of off all year, so he didn't get to the top 30 but I mean, he was 12th at the FedEx and 13th at the BMW, or vice versa. That I mean,
13th or 14th, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, he was really, really good. And then now he comes to a place that kind of suits the Zalatoris of old. Has he settled into those adjustments? That's a guy there, because you remember at BMW, we were talking about Zalatoris and Homa being down in the 7K range. And we're like, man, look how the mighty have fallen. Jordan's down, Jordan wasn't even there, but at the end of the year, right? And now all of a sudden Zalatoris pops back, first event in the fall, he's 9 something. And I'm like, whoa. I was like, yeah, jumped 2K. What are we doing? And that's why I was interested to get your feedback on that.
Yeah, there are many heroes I can give up on. I agree that Will Zalatoris is one that he has so many big moments for us in so many big time events. And he's fearless. I mean, he's just one of those guys. He's got an attitude of he's got that I want to kill attitude. The problem is his swing changes, his injury limitations make it a little intimidating to do it. But if anyone I would say that anyone wants a comeback story of one player on tour. Everyone wants Will Zalatoris to be good. Maybe Jordan Spieth is there too.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
They kind of remind me of the same sort of grit down and win characters, but Thomas and Zalatoris make a ton of sense.
Yeah.
And their ownership is going to be single digits, comp to what, a 40% Hideki Matsuyama.
Yeah.
I mean, it's leverage for sure.
Yeah. And in that range, I have less. I mean, I do have questions about Zalatoris' health and his playing ability, but man, that playoff, he looked good there. He looked good on the range. He looked healthy, had some bounce in his step. Hadn't seen that I hadn't seen that since Riv, right? And that's like 6 months apart. So these other guys, Thigala could hit it off the planet, or he could hit it down the middle. And even though even though it's a no cut event, I can't trust that against, some of these guys like a Kitayama. It's just Kitayama has gained 12 strokes tee to green in his only 2 fall starts.
Yeah.
In each of them. Like, what are you talking about? Right? Like 12 shots, a tournament, tee to green. It's impressive.
Look at RDJ's comment.
I don't know.
What has Bo Hossler not done recently? I mean,
he's great.
And a second here last year.
And a 16th before that.
Yeah.
And again, a great scrambler, above average putter, nice approach player. Seems to find his mojo in the fall. Yeah, long enough. He gets a little loose with the driver, so when you pull it back a little bit and he's hitting just, fairway woods and stuff positionally in play, it plays to his strengths. And I think that's one of the reasons why Bo has played so good here. And a lot of these, Bo finds Bo knows in the fall, man. The guy's been good the last couple of years. Gains a lot of strokes in the fall.
The other one, well, you can mention anyone you want. I'll mention 2. Spawn seems like a fit. I know you love JJ Spawn.
I do. I mean, we broke up at the Sanderson. And,
really? Was that tough on you?
Well, he withdrew after the first round with an injury and broken uterus. So I was like, you got to be kidding me, dude. And I mean, the guy flat out flushes it. It'd be a good fit for him here for sure. He and I have recent history, so I got to lay off a little bit, but I don't know that I'll go full Keith Mitchell on him. I might go back to JJ Spawn at some point, but for right now, I'm off.
Never give up on your heroes. What about Ricky Fowler and Max Homa? What's the state of their game at?
Well, I mean, Fowler's struck the ball great. He can't putt.
Yes, he has, and he has history.
Struck the ball great, and he has very positive history here. So, at a place where putting doesn't seem to be as much of a priority, I think you will see this steady climb that Ricky has had. I think you'll see it continue to kind of like sit there and level itself. I think this is a good spot for Ricky to build some confidence because he won't have to really, reinvent the putter. And Max Homa, I just don't know. He went to the Pro Tour. He's won there twice in the last 3 years, and he missed the cut.
Yeah.
He looked like he did okay at the President's Cup, but like really all he did was win his singles match. He
didn't do great at President's Cup.
No. No, he did great making memes, for drinking beer, and
yeah.
So, I mean, and there's a third guy, that's another guy who, like, when people start asking you in podcasts and stuff nowadays, and they come to me and they go like, oh, who do you like for next year to make a move? Like, what players? And I go, well, I'm going to go with the guys that have proven they could do it before. So, like, I'm with Jordan, Zalatoris, Max. I mean, those types of guys, like, they've been winners before. They know what it takes to get back to the top of the mountain. Everybody would love to see Max come back, right? He just needs to build some confidence with the driver. And is this the place to do it, or would it have been like a birdie fest somewhere where you can just blast it anywhere? Like the next event, the Worldwide Technology Championship, where they have, down there in Cabo, they have like 80-yard wide fairways. Like, Max, let's go there. Let's hit 14 fairways a day, and then like let's build it up. I don't know about this tree line Parkland venue with all sorts of dog legs, but
there's some belief in Ricky Fowler week. I'm not saying. I think it's a decent price for him.
Yeah.
Some of the other Japanese players that have historically done well here.
Yeah.
Hisatsune or Hisatsune.
Yeah.
I think it's too cheap. He's my sort of JT Poston this week. Not saying he'll win.
Okay.
But he's got good PGA form. I've seen him hanging around at the PGA Tour.
Oh yeah.
And
Yep.
decent form over here. He played well last year.
Yeah.
Not sure why he's lower, but who are some guys? Because in order to make a Schauffele Matsuyama or a Schauffele stud lineup work, you're gonna have to go low.
So yeah. So names that we can easily pronounce. I think Lee Hodges at 68. No, names that we could pronounce. Lee Hodges at 68. He's got a couple of top 25s there. That would be someone I would be looking at. And then the other one is Zach Blair, 6,400. Because if you got to hit fairways and you got to keep it in play and have a relatively good short game, Zach Blair is good on difficult golf courses. He historically has been. You put him on a birdie fest and he doesn't really have the engine to keep up. But if you're driving on a 1-lane highway through Maine with not a lot of gas stations, Zach Blair will get the job done for you.
Yeah.
So now on the other side of the coin, I was looking at last week they had the Japan Open, which they historically do right here before because I don't know if they use that for qualifying for this or in a way it's like they're putting like back-to-back like premier events together on their tour. But there's two guys. There's a different Rio. There's Ishikawa, right?
Yeah.
We all remember him from years ago. I mean,
he was the next Tiger. I mean, he was supposed to be fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, at one point he was 29th in the world golf rankings. Now that was a couple of years ago, but he still plays very well over there. Last year he played good here.
He did.
Right? He finished second in the Japan Open, and then the next week he finished fourth here.
Yep.
So, and I was looking at the Japan Open this year. He finished eighth, and we don't know about this year. So he's somebody down there in that placement land, and he's 6,200.
Correct.
So I think of the guys in the 6,200, like I can at least put a theory together that guy is legit.
Yeah,
he's proven it before. And then the other one, he finished runner-up at the Japan Open, and his name is Ryosuke Kinoshita. Right now, I'm not from Japan, so if in the comments you want to rip me on that for my New Jersey accent, go right ahead. But this guy, he played at Royal Troon, so he qualified to go there. So that's legit, right?
He played in the Open.
Yeah, he played in the Open. Yeah, Royal Troon. Absolutely, right? His last four starts, 7th, 17th, 6th, and then he was runner-up at the Japan Open. So in his last four starts, he hasn't finished worse than 17th. And he's fourth in scoring on that Japanese tour. So any type of golf courses over there, he'd be used. He's been playing well there. And I think that's something you can hang your hat on. And he's sitting at 66. So those are a couple guys I'm going to use as placement, and I'm going to use as feeders at the bottom. Because at the end of the day, there's 14 Japanese tour players there in a 78-man field. Like we've talked about this before, like when at the Scottish, when the DP World Tour gets integrated, right? Like 6 of these guys are going to be inside the top 30, the top half of the tournament, right? It's just a matter of figuring out which ones they are. And I think that these guys have a little bit of history with which to kind of bank on. And that's where I'm thinking.
Yeah. The other one that popped for me was KH Lee.
Ooh, so great last week on a TPC course. Has KH Lee ever really impressed you on a golf course where he had to put his driver in play, where he had to score for sure? That's why we nicknamed him TPC Lee, right? Like he goes to Waste Management, he goes to any of these, blast away places, and you have to make a million birdies. KH Lee's great, and he was good last week. We were talking about him last week. I liked him last week in the 6s, and he played very well. I would have concerns at a golf course like this. Not to say that he couldn't play well, but I'm just going to go after some other people that I think where ball striking and accuracy, I'm just weighing it as more of a premium.
Yeah, the Ghost mentioned Harada Myron. I don't know obviously much about him. I think he played here last year. Let me see if he did. You know much about Hirata?
Kenzie Hirata?
He did. He was 6th here last year. So he looks like the form for Matt McCarty. Win in his last 12. 10th, 5th, win. And a 6th here last year.
Yeah, he was 17th at the Japan Open. If we're talking about the same guy, Kenzie Hirata.
Kenzie Hirata. But look, his recent form is insane. Outside of 17th is not bad, but 10th, win, 5th. Hirata, that's the play of the day. Any interest in Brendan Todd? There's a guy who hits fairways.
Yeah.
He's not playing great.
Just hasn't really,
Yeah.
I mean,
do you weigh that much on the Vegas to Japan is a decent haul.
Oh yeah. I mean,
do you weigh this? Time change, travel, Shriners, Vegas. These guys are so used to it.
I mean, they're very used to it, and they don't fly like we fly, right? Those guys, they get in a business class pod and they go to sleep for 12 hours. They wake up, they're there, and then they're catered to. They take a ride. They get driven everywhere. They get fed everywhere.
It's not like they're huffing around their clubs down, in Tokyo.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like looking for a Brendan Todd type guy, I'm all over Andrew Putnam, right?
No.
I wanted him top 20 last week. He came through for me. I think he's got great history here. Well, I know he has great history here. He's very good on positional golf courses. Putnam's always been a guy. You have a great memory for this stuff. When you're playing DFS at YLA or like a Harbor Town type place, any of those very positional golf courses, Andrew Putnam is always a guy because he hits a ton of greens in regulation. He's a good
iron player. He's a great putter.
He does both of those things really, really well. And at this place, he obviously capitalizes on that. He's got a runner-up finish here. He's played the golf course a couple times. He's got, he's in good form right now. So he's a guy I actually think can do very, very well here. And, I'm going to favor a little better ball striking over Brendan Todd. The other guy, maybe I'll save him for the snake draft.
Okay. Well, explain this to Antonio. Can you explain why putting doesn't matter this week?
It's not that it doesn't matter. It's just that the greens obviously present themselves in a manner with which that average putters can do well here, right? I mean, look at the leaderboards of the guys that have done really well here, and they're not laced with like as if we're playing at Quail Hollow or something like that, where it's like really, really heavy emphasis on strokes gained putting. I don't think it's a full team no putt week, but I think you're pretty close to it. I think you are. I think if you put the ball in play and you can continue to hit greens in regulation, I think that average putters are going to make their fair share. The greens aren't tough to read. We got to remember, bad putters just aren't bad with speed. They're bad at reading greens. That's why they're bad. Like they do all the skills poorly, right? And if the greens are like less subtle, easier to read, and they aren't over like super, super taxing like Augusta National, like that actually mitigates putting as well because it's too hard, right? But if it's something that's pretty flat, easy to read, then you're going to get a guy like a JJ Spawn or a Kurt Kitayama or a Keegan Bradley, or a Hideki have good putting weeks. And if their ball striking we know is on point, then you can go down that road. That's why we talked longer than we should have about Ricky, because Ricky was really bad at putting last week. And, but his ball
and historically one of the better putters we've seen on tour.
There was a time, yeah, but it's gone away for a while. I mean, his struggles this entire year, like Max with the driver, it's been Ricky with the putter.
Yeah, most beautiful stroke on tour.
He's been great, but it just looks a little jammed up or something. I don't know. Maybe Allison's holding out on him or something. Kid's got her busy, he's not. I don't know, cleaning the pipes or whatever.
The dad narrative is the truth. Spieth, Homa, Ricky, Scheffler will be world top 25 next year.
A lot of guys would pray for that.
And Matt McCarty will be world 1. How about that guy?
I don't know. We've seen some guys on some heaters before. I mean, McCarty looks pretty good, but
he's great. All right, snake draft. Snake draft brought to you by Olive Garden. Have it your way, and Land of Lake Butter. Grab yourself some.
I much prefer Land O'Lakes American cheese. White or yellow, I don't really prefer. Do you guys in Kentucky, do you have white and yellow American or just white?
There's no cheese in Kentucky.
Just bourbon?
That's right.
Okay. Draft time.
Draft time brought to you by DraftKings. DraftKings.
All right.
Sign up at DraftKings right now using our code DKNG.co/RPS. You can go get some pick six picks. Put $5 in. I think they give 50 in play.
Based upon that, should the draft go to 6 people?
No, it goes to our snake draft?
Yeah.
No, it's 5. It's always 5. The rules of snake draft are very clear and as follows. 1.
I don't know. You just said 6 a lot.
No, I said pick 6 for DraftKings.
No, I know that, but just made me think we were picking 5 guys. We should pick 6.
Okay, we'll pick 6. Good, because I have 6.
Oh, all right. So do I. Totally Jedi.
The rules of snake draft are clear and they are not breakable. Number 1, we cannot duplicate. Number 2, the first person who goes is by coin flip. The coin will be in a Canadian loonie. A loon is tails, a queen is heads.
Okay.
King. You cannot mock snake draft picks of the opponent, and that includes eye movement or smiling.
Okay.
If you have to do either of those things, you must go off camera.
Well, we'll get that button ready. Okay.
I will flip a coin, and you call it in the air.
Tails never fails.
It's queen. It's the heads. I'm going first.
Man, I'm like 0 for 7.
That's 0 for 7.
Yeah.
I will go. Number 1 pick is Hideki. Hideki number 1.
Oh man, you must have totally read my mind. My number 1 pick's Hideki.
Okay. Who's your second pick?
I have to go 2. That's right. I'm going to go Kitayama. I'm going Hideki Matsuyama, and I'm going Kurt Kitayama. Now I'm saying that out loud for the first time, and that's kind of cool. So anyway.
I'm going to go Xander. Shocker. And then I said in the Discord, I said I can't fill out the sheets and the core plays and the playbooks until Keith spins me around at 3:00.
Yeah.
And that's why you had the spinning me in the chair meme inside the Discord. And that's why Dub KJ asked this.
Well, okay. You know what? That was exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking of the AVH version, right? Back in the day, Orlando club scene, sneaker pimps. You take the song Spin Spin Sugar, and Armin van Helden did an absolute ridiculous remix of it. If you don't know it, go find it. I'm telling you, that was exactly what I was thinking of. Dub KJ.
Is this a bit? Like
no, actually, what's interesting is that my nickname is KJ, and I don't even know who this person is. It looks like a cheat.
Dub KJ is the best.
But like two true stories. Number 1, I know exactly what he's talking about, and that is an incredible version of that song. And when I went to go for the GIF, I was supremely disappointed that there wasn't either a Sneaker Pimps reference or a club scene reference to the song Spin Spin Sugar, because it's absolutely fantastic. And number 2, my nickname is most definitely KJ. My father's name is
Paul. You know Orlando DJ club scene, but you don't know who brings the boom. It's amazing.
I mean, back in the day in Orlando with Tiger and the boys going to clubs, dude, ridiculous.
I would pay for photos of that.
Oh, dude, there was no cell phones. That's why those people did that back then. Cell phones ruined it all.
Were you there?
Dude, one of the best nights I ever had out was VIP with Tony Hawk, the pro skater. Remember when he used to go on a tour with all those guys and Bam and everybody, right? Okay, so we met up with them. And I had a buddy of mine that knew Bam, because Bam grew up over in Philly area, and I'm from New Jersey and everything, right?
Like Bam Margera, the skater?
Oh yeah. So we go and we find out where they are, and I'm like, oh man, dude, I'm a huge Hawk fan. I got to go meet Tony Hawk, right? Like he would be one of the few people like Wayne Gretzky I'd be geeked out over meeting, right? And thankfully I got a chance to meet him at Isleworth one time playing golf. But dude, Hawk is the absolute best, right? Partied with those guys all night. One of the most ridiculous nights of my life. Unbelievable. I mean, oh God.
My life's goal is to party with Bam Margera one night.
Dude, I couldn't take a week of that.
And not die.
Those guys are on. Oh my God. I mean, it was the whole Jackass crew. It was Steve-O. It was all these clowns, and they were all skaters, and they were all just hanging on to Tony Hawk's money, and they were going traveling and doing these carnivals in like big mall parking lots. And like every time they showed up, 25,000 kids would show up. It was ridiculous. It was so good. Anyway, Tony Hawk one night. Oh yeah, there was so many.
There you go, Dub KJ. You
Well,
that you hit your 5,000 to 1 bet that Keith was going to talk about a story about partying with the Jackass guys.
oh, man, that was a good night.
I love it. I can sit here and listen to that all day. All right. I did Hideki. I did X. My third one, because you spun me into it, was JT. I'm going there.
I do like JT brings a lot to the table this week.
Okay.
He does. I'm not going to pick JT, and in fact, you owe us 2 people.
I did.
Who was the first one?
I said I did Hideki first, and then you did Hideki. No violation of rule there for duplication, and then you did someone second.
Yep, Kitayama.
Who was second? Huh?
I did Kitayama. Oh, then you did Xander, and
you Xander did JT. Now it's your turn for 2.
All right. So I'm going to go. My third pick is then Big Bo Hostler, and my fourth, and this is the one I was saving for you, is the G, Gary Woodland. Oh yeah, I think this is a good spot for Gary Woodland. Now, what's unique about what's going on with Gary Woodland? I think
you're still coming out of the Orlando club.
No. Over his last 5 starts, the guy's gaining over 6 shots tee to green. He's Gary Woodland. Did you notice last week at the Shriners, he gained 3.7 with the putter. Now, here's the thing. Talking to people in his camp, Gary's been messing around with a lab putter. It saved Lucas, saved Zalatoris, saved Adam Scott, right? He still has, the Odyssey in play, but he's changed his practice routine. He's been using the lab putter a lot. There are rumors that he may switch to it at some point. Probably not going to be this week, but in the future, he's seriously considering a lab putter, but it has drastically helped him see the line and get his ball started on line. He's still using his gamer, but he putted so much better at Shriners, and he had no reason to putt good at Shriners, right? If you look at his history, it's not good, right? So all of a sudden, he had a good week. He's changed his routine. If he continues to ball strike this way, 2019, he was 5th here. Good course history. Great long iron player. Off the tee. Long par 4s, par 3s. I like Gary Woodland. 4th pick.
All right.
Spin, sugar.
You're really going back to some of these guys for a resurgence. I like it.
There's really, other than the guy having surgery for brain cancer, right? Last week was his first top 10 since he came back from the surgery. It's been about a year, right? He's got his ball striking in order. He was 16th at the Sanderson. The guy is hitting the ball really, really good. He still struggles with the putter. He's making some changes with the putter. We're going to a place where you can favor average or below average putters. This makes sense to me. Guy's got a top 5 there. He knows the golf course. Here we go.
I think we need I need to include some cheaper plays to balance out these lineups. I'm going to go Japan route because I think a couple of them show up. In addition to Hideki, Hisastune or Hisastune.
Yep.
And Myron Kidd. That was the name I was trying to think about. Hirata. We like it. Mid-6s.
All right. Along the cheaper lines, my 5th pick, I'm going to do Xander. And then my 6th pick, I'm going to take Andrew Putnam.
Okay. I knew that. I'm going to close this out. Because the theme is the resurrection of older careers from the past. Never die on your heroes. Ricky Fowler.
Ooh. I didn't know if you were going to go. Well, yeah, you were going to go.
Zalatoris.
Well, it was between those two in my mind. It was 60-40 Ricky, though. Yeah.
There it is.
I feel like Zal wants to go to the hero this year and not shoot over 80 like 3 of the 4 rounds and like win the whole thing. And he's like motivated by that, because that was bad last year. But
Hideki, Keegan. No, I can't read my writing. Kitayama, excuse me.
Yeah.
Bo Hostler, Gary Woodland, a cheap pick in Xander, and then Putnam. And I went Hideki, Xander, JT, Hisastune, Hirata, and Ricky. No duplications. There was no mocking of picks.
Yeah. You were very kind to my Gary Woodland. I don't know. I like Woodland.
I'm a huge Gary Woodland fan. I'll
tell you a funny story. I'll tell you a funny story about.
Is it Gary Orlando DJ story?
No, this one is Liberty National. The last time they did the Northern Trust there, and I was up there and I'm walking around covering the event, and my wife came with me for the day. We're walking across the range, and Gary Woodland's walking towards us, and my wife kind of whispers to me. She's like, "Who's that guy?" Right? And I was like, "Oh, it's Gary Woodland." And she's like, "Oh." So Gary Woodland looks her right in the eye and like gives her like a, "Hey, how you doing?" Right? I'm like, forget that it's my wife and everything. It's Gary Woodland. It's good. He's a good dude. Anyway, so he gives her like a, "Hey, how you doing?" Right? And my wife then proceeds to trip over like one of these pieces of apparatus on the range because she's fucking locked in like the Millennium Falcon with the tractor beam in it's Star Wars, right? And I'm like, so I stand in there because it's a total like a guy thing that one of us would have done to trip over something when we look at some hot chick, right? So Gary Woodland locked her in and she fell over something. And I'm like, she's like, "Can you help me up?" And I was like, "Why don't you get Gary to help you out?"
Oh,
like I helped her up. Comment section, but I'm just saying.
Fast forward to 2024. She's married to Gary Woodland.
Yeah, right. Yeah, 2025. Gary's got her. No, Gary Woodland is an absolute just all-star. And when he won in 19, the Open, so many people were so happy for him out there. Guys love that guy. And
now Myron, it seems like it. He's trying to rizz up Keith's wife.
He was there's the boom.
He brought the boom. All right, there we go. Good week, Zozo. Good talk.
Can somebody throw the boom thing link in the chat so I can look this thing up?
We'll do it in Discord. Someone in Discord we bring the boom.
Yeah, the original thing that started this whole thing.
Yeah.
And I'll get a boom t-shirt for next week.
What's next week?
We're off, and then we go to Cabo. So your fake tan will actually look appropriate when we're down in Cabo.
Excusez-moi.
Yeah.
No, I'm just always tan.
Yeah, you would trump. Great.
I don't go tanning, you ding dong.
I didn't say you did. People use creams and stuff.
If you wear orange makeup next week, that'd be kind of funny.